Hello, this is my solution to the assignment 5 from Maximilian Schwarzmüller's course, Angular the Complete Guide. As you can see here, I already have this project for solving this assignment. It is a starting project which needs some adjustments in order to fulfill these 2 steps of this assignment. I updated the Angular version of this project from version 11 to version 15, and the project is already running in my browser, as you can see here. And basically we have a list of active and inactive users. We may set some to active and set some to inactive, and we have this pair of improvements to this process. Nothing will change in the final project, in the final result here, but we will switch working from event binding and property binding to services. We will control our data and some of our main functionalities with services. So let's go. Step 1 is to optimize this app by adding a user service which manages the active and inactive users. I'll start out by creating a new folder called services. I will open a terminal instance in this folder, and I will type nggs, which stands for Angular Generate Service Users. This way we will have our users service, and our next step is to cut the contents from our app component.ts, which has our logic for storing active users and inactive users, and changing them, removing them from one list and pushing them into the other. We will cut this and we will paste into this new service. I will cut these properties and put them before our constructor, so that now it looks like what we do with C# programming. Okay, now let's go to the app component template. I will remove this event binding and this property binding. We won't need this anymore. I'll do the same with this app active users above. And now I will rename these methods we cut and pasted into our user service from onSet to inactive to simply set to inactive and set to active. And I will work on our active users component. Here we have this event emitter, user set to inactive. This will continue working because we must capture the moment when we click on some active user, but we will change this line here. We won't emit this event anymore. we will, let me see, we will use our service, private users service, users service. It is now imported, so this user service dot on set to inactive, we will call set to inactive, passing its ID. Well, I think we can remove this event emitter, and the only thing we need is this click event binding so that we can point to this method and then call our user service. I'll do the same with the inactive users component. I'll remove this event emitter. I'll remove the event emitter from the imports. I'll do the same with the active users. Now I will create a constructor with a private user service via dependency injection, and now we will remove this line and instead we will call users service dot set to active, passing our ID. That's it. Let's see if it's working. No, it's not working because both our inactive users component and our active users component have a property called users, and before it was being passed via property binding, and we won't need this anymore, so I'll remove this one, this input decorator. I'll do this here too. And now that we have our user service, we might simply implement the onInit class, and onInit we will set our users array with the users service dot active users in this case, as we are in the active users component, and we'll do the same for inactive users component. We will implement the onInit class, implement the interface, and here these users will receive this dot users service dot inactive users. Let's see if it works now. Yes, it is working just the same, and I think that the step 1 is complete. Optimize this app by adding a user service which manages the active and inactive users. We did that. Now we are not using event binding and property binding anymore, and we centralized the control of our users in a single service. And the step 2 is also add a counter service which counts the number of active to inactive and inactive to active actions. So we'll do the same here, nggs counter, thus creating a counter service, and in the counter service we will have a deactivation count, which would be a number with the starting value of 0, and a activation count, which would be a number with the starting value of 0. And we might have a method print in which we will print the activation count, and then this dot activation count, and on the other line we will log the deactivation count, passing our actual count. And let me see where we can use it. I think that here, where we are setting in the inactive users component, after setting the user to active, we might call our users service and implement our we can inject the counter service inside the user service. This is not needed at all. So let's go there at the user service, and I will inject our counter service of type counter service, and then after setting to inactive, I will increment the deactivation count, the deactivation count ++, and then counter service dot print. And I'll do the same here in the set to active method. Counter service dot activation count ++, and then counter service dot print. Let's see if it works now. It's working. Let's take a look at our console. When I set to inactive, activation count 0, deactivation count 1. Set to active, 1 and 1. Set another 1 to active. 2 activations and 1 deactivation. Set another 1 to active. Yeah, it's doing it correctly. And let me see here. Step 2 is complete. I will push it into GitHub. Assignment 5 complete. Okay, now the solution for this assignment is already pushed into GitHub. As always, all of the code written during this course by me is in this repository. Its link will be at the description and the link for the course too. So that's it, and I see you in the next assignment.